Hi folks, thanks for spending some time again with me today. We're doing part two of funny faces, and there are going to be some funny ones in this particular episode. Not necessarily pretty, but once you understand the principles of what you're doing with the muscles of your face, with your embouchure, and how it applies to trumpet, you can learn how to fix your own embouchure. Of course, we're not going to do that today. This is just the beginning course, shall we say. Later on, we talk more in depth about how the embouchure works and the many different ways that you can produce sound with it, the many different ways that people find to do this effectively. Then you can check that out, but I haven't made that yet, so here we are. The whole idea here is to develop the specific kind of coordination that you need in order to play the trumpet well, and concerning your lips and your facial muscles. Now, previously we talked about puffing out the cheeks. Now we're going to be doing something that's very similar to that. We're going to be puffing out this area, letting the air carry this area, and rolling the lips in and out. And that rolling action is something that we need to kind of master in order to find the right position so the vibrating surface of both lips is optimal and we get the easiest sound and the easiest, most flexible, controllable aperture. Again, more on all that stuff when I specifically dive into how the embouchure works. But for today, we're just going to learn how to roll in and out. So what do I mean? This is kind of like unfurling a sail, and I'm going to use that illustration a lot. I'm just going to do it for you because they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Hopefully that's true. So I'm going to draw in a little closer here and show you what I'm talking about. Now here's kind of my normal embouchure setup. Okay? And when I put the mouthpiece on there and I have a relationship with the mouthpiece, then that works pretty well for me. Now, where are the lips touching? Well, if I blow the air, and this is the key, everything happens with the air, just like when we're working on the cheek puffing. And again, when we work on embouchure, I'm going to be getting into these things in more depth. For now, just that rolling in and out action, that's what we're working for. Now that's with the upper lip, and most people find that easier. Now that's kind of what you get, you might call that a beginning brass player embouchure, where people just put their lips together, and when they blow, the air just blows that soft lip tissue out of the way. It blows it into the mouthpiece, and then you lose control of the vibration. So you can tell that's not a very good vibration. In order to get a good vibration, you have to find the right place. In order to do that, you have to be able to do this kind of activity. Now, it's not just the upper lip, it's also the lower lip. So if I go, now you recognize when I'm doing that, I'm rolling the lower lip independently. This is the same as when I was puffing the upper lip and puffing the lower lip independently. And a key thing to notice here is your teeth have to be a certain amount apart. A great way to get this, the right sensation or the right position is if you sing, not my country, ma, 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 my country, 'tis of thee, ah. That's a great reference for a good starting point. That may not be exactly where you end up. Some people will be more open, some people will be more closed. That's fine. The whole idea is to find what works for you. And your teeth and your lips and your oral cavity and your jaw and your facial muscles are different. They're unique. But the principle stays the same. You have to let air pass through the embouchure. So if your teeth are too close together, it's not going to work. So a good frame of reference is take your pinky, put it between your teeth, and make sure that your jaw stays relaxed and the teeth or not too close together, otherwise this won't work. Now that sounds kind of common sense, but actually you'd be surprised at what I've seen in teaching this. People's bodies come up with all kinds of unconscious strategies for handling the task at hand. And we want to relate it to trumpet playing as much as possible. So you can't play trumpet well with your teeth together, and you can't roll in and out with your teeth together. You can't control the embouchure position with your teeth together. The embouchure has to take the air. And this is very similar to what we did in the cheek puffing video, Funny Faces Part 1. You're trying to allow this small area of your lip to also act like a sail. Now the mouthpiece helps when it isolates that area of the lip tissue, but you still have to have muscular control. You don't want to depend on the mouthpiece to hold your embouchure together. You want to actually form the embouchure, as James Stamp said, form it before you put the pressure of the mouthpiece on. So that means you have to know that position. And this comes through your own experimentation, listening and feeling what gives you a greater sense of control and a more beautiful sound, easier sound production. That's basically it. So when you're totally tucked in against the airflow, you're like at one end of the spectrum, and then you totally release. But remember, it's all about airflow. So now I'm making kind of like, I'm pretending that I'm an old man, which actually I am, but I'm grateful that I have all my teeth. Even my wisdom teeth, how about that? So if I pretend that I'm gumming, that's one way to set. I'm completely rolled in, and I'm actually pinching my lips in between my teeth. Now this is a way to play the trumpet. Some people recommend it. I'm not going to name any names, but there are problems with it. Everything is a compromise, so you can get a tremendous grip that way, and if you can control it, you can play in the upper register with greater ease. Playing in the low register would be more difficult. Why? Because it's not exactly balanced. In other words, it's at one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum, which would be like what I said about the young trumpet player's embouchure, or just blowing out like that. So if I actually buzz, I'm buzzing on the inside of my lower lip. I'm buzzing on the inside of my upper lip. So you can drive yourself crazy with this. The point is, let yourself play. See if you can tell what you do when you play without thinking about it, the way your embouchure normally works, and then see if you can find a way that gives you a feeling of greater grip, greater strength, and easier response. And when you have that, you're going in the right direction. So rolling in and out is a key way to do this. Now, there's something else. I forgot to bring my pencil with me, but I'll use my pinky. If you just take a pencil and you hold it at the corner of your mouth, you see there's no stretching back of the corners. You don't want to activate all these big muscles of your face. You want to keep them in balance with the puckering muscles. So, you can experiment with that, but you're not engaging the other muscles to try and help. Why? You need that cushion, that thickness of the lip tissue underneath the mouthpiece and between the mouthpiece and your teeth, because that's where all the good vibration takes place. And if you start to press too much and kind of cramp that tissue, cross that tissue, or it stretches too much and it gets too thin, which is a problem that many, many players have. I certainly did when I was a younger player. Then you can't get the best result. Now, you can also use something like a straw, or even the mouthpiece shank. Actually, I'm going to go get a straw. I forgot to bring it with me, and grab my mouthpiece, and I'll be right back. See you in a second. Okay, that didn't take long at all. Now I have a few tools that I can use here. So I'm going to start with a pencil, and this is pretty easy to do. Remember, I said you could use it to make sure your corners stay stable, relaxed, in your normal mouth position. Now here's the cool thing. And again, we're going to get into this more depth in this when we talk about how the embouchure actually works to play the instrument. Some people have a downstream embouchure. In other words, the Airstream goes like this. Other people, most people, are kind of in here someplace. Some people, the Airstream goes up. So you can be anywhere on that spectrum and produce a good vibration. Why? Because the muscles of your face can control that air pressure and form an aperture and hold their position without too much strain. And I could actually show you that. I'm going to save that for later. So the angle of your pencil, where the air comes out, these are all questions that people want to know how the embouchure works. I want to try and answer some of these questions. But when it comes down to it, I've had some great players come through my studio. I had one guy who could play double high C all night long, and he had a completely upstream embouchure. I've also had another player who had a basically downstream embouchure, who also had incredible endurance and was a lead player. So you see, there are no rules, only principles. This is what you need to understand. When you understand the principles, then you can start to see, well, how does that apply to my own particular individual situation? So let's use the pencil now to get a sense of, you see how I'm drawing the pencil into my mouth? Isn't that weird? Oh, better not go too far back. It's going to tickle my throat. That's that same kind of grip. Now watch. I'm not letting my corners stretch back. So that's a key thing. Now, if you have a straw, you can use a juice box straw, sippy straw, a cocktail straw, even a regular straw. I have a fancy stainless steel straw that I use. And you can do the same thing. I want you to watch my embouchure. Now I'm going to wet my lips. I'm rolled out. I'm tucked all the way in. And you're going to find, you explore that whole range of motion. See what you can do with it. And you're going to find a place that feels like, oh, that's the sweet spot. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. And when you blow, you flow a lot of air to play loud, or you're playing with the air under greater pressure, as tends to happen in the upper register, or you're using the tongue to get a little explosion of air. Everything can stay stable there. So this is a really important thing to do. Remember, as I'm doing this, I'm visualizing that same puffing like a sail that I talked about before. I was thinking about trying to give you a visual representation. You can find one online. If you just put in sailing, you're going to get a lot of videos and so forth. And those of you who have sailed before or understand how it works, it's really kind of cool. So if you can visualize, the sail is hanging limp, and then a breeze flows. And as the sail, because the sail is attached to a boom, it's attached to a boom and it's attached to a mast, it's going to start to expand and fill with air. And when the sail gets completely set, it's like, it goes like, foomp, and you can hear this like, dunk, it holds its place. See, our sail is completely flexible and it's filled with muscles. So we can squeeze it and push it and do anything we want to with it. But what we need to do is find the place where it sets in the air, and that way we can get a good vibration. And it'll be interesting to see, how this works out for you when you experiment with it. And now here's another handy way, but make sure when you do this that your mouthpiece is absolutely clean, because otherwise you're going to get some very bad stuff in your mouth, and you don't want that to be the case. So it's the same idea as a straw. If you don't have the straw handy and you have a clean mouthpiece, the cool thing here is, now I'm totally rolled out. Now I'm partially tucked in. And remember, this is independent between the upper and lower lip. Well, it's tucked all the way in. So I play somewhere in the middle, and I think most good players do, but you may correct me. You may demonstrate for me if you're an accomplished player and you play at one extreme or another. I wouldn't be surprised because I've seen a lot of stuff out there. Okay, I'll leave you with this thought. When you're doing this, you hear that sound of the air? We're going to use this later when we talk about articulation. It's very, very important. But that allows you to hear what the air is doing. So we're trying to form a stream of air that's very focused, without over-muscling, without squeezing or choking with the embouchure, letting the lips take the air like a sail. So you see this is a little bit paradoxical. It's a little bit challenging to do. So practice your rolling in and out. Make sure that you're not tightening. Your jaw is in a comfortable, relaxed, singing, open position. Your throat's not tight. Your body stays very loose. The tongue is neutral. It's just laying in the bottom of your mouth, doing nothing special. And all these things will help you to concentrate on the lips. Here's the problem. The lips are very sensitive, and you can feel a lot of information because you have a lot of sensory ability, a lot of nerve endings in the lips. For that reason, they can become very prominent in what you do. You need to concentrate on the airflow. If you lose the airflow, none of these exercises will work. So a consistent, smooth, continuous flow of air that has support, that has follow through to it, that is carrying, is the only way you can keep that sail full. Okay, time to go work, time to practice some of these things, and I hope you find them as valuable as I have over the years. Have a great day. I'll catch you later on. Bye-bye.